I don't have hobbies either, if it makes you feel any better.
I love being in my business.
And now you have 2 kids.
And I love being with my kids. And so anything outside of that, there's just not much time for.
Yeah, no, there really isn't. I mean, I remember when we had kids, a good friend of mine said, you should tell your friends you just had your kids and that you won't be seeing them for about 10 years.
That's right.
And he's like, the true friends will still be there for you when you get there. And the ones who aren't really your true friends, good riddance.
We're figuring that out. We are definitely figuring that out. It's interesting how fast your taste in friends changes.
Yeah.
You know, especially, I don't know how old your kids are, but
14, 13, and 10.
Oh, okay. Nice. I'm looking forward to those ages.
They're great ages. Highly recommend this period of parenthood. It's awesome.
Really?
They're so easy and they're so fun and they have the best personalities and they still love us. I think we're in the sweet spot of parenting right now. When they're little, I know you've got 2 littles, it's hard. They're adorable, but it is hard labor.
Yeah, we're in potty training right now. But I love every minute of it. You know, it's a tough balance, you know, between work and family. But I always lean more towards family and man, it just goes so fast.
Yeah.
I'm already realizing that, and I don't want to, you know, I'm glad that I waited until after service for kids because it sounds like you've listened to at least a couple of my interviews, and man, you know, I'm glad that I will never have to put my kids through what that was like, what it turned to be into, being gone all the time. And I'm a lot better now than back then.
And you don't have to live with the regret of having missed it.
Yeah.
Even for a good cause. You know, it's hard to miss it. I've talked to enough people who have made a different choice. You can just hear the regret in their voice and see it on their face, and it's not recapturable once it's gone.
Very true. Very true. But,
you know, I think in Tennessee you'll do better in instilling values into your kids that reflect your own, right? Mm-hmm. That's one of the challenges here in the Northeast.
Really?
Whoa, yeah. I mean, these woke schools, we fled our New York City schools because of that. Here in Connecticut, we got it made. We did our homework this time since we were fleeing, and we found 2 great ones. But it's important, right? Because you'll find out when how old is your boy?
2.5.
Yeah. So you find out when they start to go to school that the schools they're your partners. I mean, you need to find a partner. They're the ones who are going to spend the most waking hours with your kids every day.
Yeah.
So if you're not on the same page about how we're raising a boy or how we're raising a girl, how we're creating a good human being and future citizen, you know, current citizen, but like, you know, responsible citizen, things can go south quickly.
That is a constant topic of discussion at our house is, well, how we're going to do that. Are we going to homeschool? Are we going to do private school? What are we going to do? And turns out we live in a homeschool mecca.
That's good.
Yeah. So we're looking into possibly doing that.
I love the homeschooling communities. I have a dear friend who's doing that, swears by it. So what does life look like now? You do the podcast like 25 hours a day. Honestly, how do you do these 5-hour podcasts?
Man, I just listen, you know, and you know, I get people to open up about things they've never talked about before and go to places that they probably have not been in their mind in years. And you can't do that on a timeline. You can't do that in a condensed timeline. And so, you know, my longest one, I think, is 9 hours.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Who was that with?
This guy, Cody Alford, who was a MARSOC guy.
Okay.
But, Marine. But, and so, you know, and I think the first one I did was right about 2 hours. And, but then I kept getting longer, and I noticed the more time I give them, the more they open up. And what it kind of developed into is I don't remember who the first guy was. It might have been this guy, Prime Hall, but do you have any idea how many people have been through like child trauma, sexual trauma, abusive parents, whatever it is? Man, it's like everybody. And so the first time that happened, I was like, all right, I got to start diving more into childhood. And I'll bet 75% of the people that come on have experienced some type of abuse as a child. And I dig into kind of what's happening today with trafficking and pedophilia and all of that kind of stuff. And so I think it's really important to dive into the childhood stuff, because it gives people that have been abused, that are trying to process that still into their adult life, and kids that are going through it right now. I mean, it shows them like, man, no matter what I'm going through right now, like I can still find success and find happiness in life. And there's just not a lot of people doing that right now. And so when somebody goes into their childhood experience and they're gonna get descriptive about it, that when they're done and we're done with that section, I always ask, for a kid that's in your position right now, looking back, what could you have done, or what would you advise, other kids that are in your position, or are there, what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
What advice do you have for them? And I mean, it's helping. It's really helping. And then we get into the military stuff, and it's super descriptive. And then I want it to be, I don't want a condensed format, because when I started doing this, I wanted to do it because these guys weren't getting a voice in the media at all.
Yep.
And when they did, it was a 30-second blurb. And, so why are we having talking heads in the media documenting what happened over there with a bunch of people that weren't there, that thought they knew? And so it kind of started with, I wanted to just document history the way it actually happened with people that were at the events. And so now we've got, just about every major operation that has happened.
Yeah.
We got.
I heard the one with, forgive me, I don't remember his name, but the gentleman who he lost his arm and his leg in the Afghanistan withdrawal.
Tyler Vargas.
Oh my God. And that, just his whole life had been rough with the dad who was the child molester. And it was just, there was a lot in there. And those stories they're infuriating, right? Because they're recent and we lived them, and we still have those same leaders who have yet to make any apology for what happened to guys like Tyler. Nothing.
Yeah, it's very discouraging. I mean, he's a perfect example, though. He interviewed with Good Morning America for 7 hours.
Did he really?
And they released, I believe he said, 5 seconds of that interview because it made POTUS look so bad. And so I had reached out to him. I wanted to give him the opportunity to get his story out. And he had testified in front of Congress. And none of us were getting the actual boots on the ground version of what the hell happened during that withdrawal. And so he came on, we got it out. They tried to censor us, and he had all kinds of actual footage of what was going on, and they kept dinging us. Oh, you can't have that in there. You can't have that in there. And it's
Who was?
YouTube, and it's like, guys, like, this happened. Like,
how dare you censor what happened to a U.S. Marine?
Yeah,
multiple.
It's like, this is actual footage.
Can your savings weather an economic storm? Think about what you've put away for the future. Inflation can render cash worthless. Real estate can crash like it did in '08. Economies built on a mountain of debt can fall like a house of cards. There are very few physical assets you can invest in that can stand the test of time. But gold has withstood as a valued form of money. It's why many people are flocking to it now, and why Birch Gold is busier than ever. Through a little-known tax loophole, Birch Gold lets you convert a retirement account into a tax-sheltered IRA in physical gold. And the best part, it doesn't cost you 1 cent out of pocket. To learn more, text MK to 989898 and claim your free info kit on gold. Again, can your IRA or 401k weather an economic storm? If not, consider looking into Birch Gold. Just text MK to 989898 and explore securing your savings today. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.